Welcome back to Oblivious Maximus. I'm one of your hosts, Ben Searle.
I'm Aaron, the other guy who hosts the show with Ben.
How you doing, Aaron?
Fucking awesome, dude. How are you?
Good. I'm driving my mate's wife's car at the moment, this Audi. I feel like a fucking boss, cruising around, zipping around in this thing. I actually have no car.
You're in charge now.
Yeah.
Exciting news today. We've got Sam from Iron Mind here with us. Hi, Sam.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, my pleasure. Our pleasure.
Our pleasure.
Both of ours. We've been talking about doing this with you for weeks now.
Yeah. I mean,
months almost.
I'm going to say months. Yeah.
Well, I'll start from the beginning. We initially theorized doing this when we had Akira and Otis in here to talk about just talk shit episodes.
Silly boys.
Silly boys.
They're good at that.
They're very good at that. And then we accidentally started talking about serious stuff, not silly boys stuff. And afterwards, Akira, like basically the second we finished recording, Akira was like, maybe you should have Sam talk about all the album stuff, not me. Yeah. And the album wasn't even like announced or anything, I don't think.
I think what it was, because Akira told me, and it was more that like he could feel, because he was talking about all the great stuff that Otis had contributed to the record, and he could feel Otis clamming up next to him. So he's like, get Sam on when Otis isn't here to basically sing Otis's praises. And talk about the rest of it as well. Yeah.
Well, we're going to get Otis back on to talk about clamming up when we had an older lady bail us up at the Last Chance rock and roll bar on Friday. There's some incredible footage of me and him in the sightlines of some coked up lady who was talking to us about her fears of the world. It was a bizarre meeting, and Otis couldn't get out of there quick enough.
Yeah, he was firmly being hit on, I would say.
I mean, he's a good looking bloke. So,
exactly. Yeah. He's got that drip.
Yeah. he's definitely got
has
the
that.
drip. Yeah.
But enough about Otis and his drip. Thanks for coming to chat about the record and the band and yourself. But I think I wanted to start this off by saying I've had many people on the podcast to talk about various things so far. Often what comes up is playing house shows. That's come up basically every other episode with someone.
Yeah, right.
I reckon of all the people that have been on the podcast so far, you might be the oldest house show person I've played a house show with. Because I reckon we played a house show in Canberra like a zillion years ago.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm probably the oldest person you've had on the podcast that you played shows with.
That might be true.
Or at least pushing it. But if it's the same one I'm thinking of, it could have been the first time that, I mean, I think we actually Hold Up at the time.
Yeah, it might have been.
It would have been before we sort of changed the name and changed the sound. We were Hold Up, and it would have been the first time we left Melbourne.
Yeah, right.
And Canberra house show. Forgive me, I can't remember the bands that we played with.
Because I think maybe Slow Burn played it. Yeah, like I don't even think it wasn't I Exist.
You called it, yeah. It was Slow Burn.
Yeah.
Sam singing. Yeah. So I remember that. And then we were on our way to Canberra, Newcastle, first time leaving Melbourne. Man, first house. Actually, would have been the first house show we played. Like you said, the Canberra definitely known for a good house show.
It was. I mean, it's one of those things that's like it's so wild that it's back. But yeah, I just remember it vividly because, I mean, I remember it vividly because it was fun and all those shows were fun. But I don't think at that time, certainly Canberra didn't have a band that sounded like how you guys sounded, and so I think like to Canberra that was like that was an exciting thing as well.
Right. I mean, at the time we literally would have just been wrapped to have been able to play anywhere.
Yeah.
It was that early. I mean, we still are wrapped to play anywhere, but 20 so years later.
Yeah.
But for sure at the time, like I think T-Bone would have booked those shows.
Because what year are we talking here? Because
it'd have to be like 2007.
Yeah.
Because the fact that like I knew that you were called Hold Up, but I had not remembered that
Yeah.
since probably that time. Like that just,
And I'm
completely
purely,
forgot that.
I mean, it's actually, this has come up a few times recently. Like I was saying to Ben just before we started, 10-month-old daughter.
Yeah.
My memory used to be, or I'm like realizing now, they're just massive chunks of my memory that once upon a time I would have had the date, the bands with the bands we played with, what was going on, who had what for lunch on the drive up. I would have had it all. Now there's just like massive chunks. It came up, on the weekend we're in Brisbane and someone said, I remember when I first saw you guys and it was at this show in Sydney with this band and this band. And I was like, in my head, I was like, I don't know what he's talking about. You know? Yeah. And so anyway, all that to say, I'm pretty sure we were still holed up at the time. I know that was the first time we'd left Melbourne. It was Canberra house show. Newcastle show at the Loft, which was like the all ages.
The all ages. All ages.
Yeah. That was an awesome venue.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that was with Ill, Coil's band before they were Ill
Brigade.
Ill Brigade. Yeah. Yeah, man.
I think it is like, I was talking to someone about this the other day, Googling, is it normal to not remember your childhood?
Oh man. I mean,
there's just large sections of time.
I mean, I think there's the show thing. It blurs, obviously. Once you play a zillion shows, it starts to blur. I mean, like even recently, Nathan Garland sent me a flyer of an I Exist show, and one of his older bands played it, and I do not remember the show at all. Like I remember the flyer, but I have no recollection of the show.
It's like my memory isn't I'm making it sound like I'm completely losing my mind. It's more that like I'm becoming aware that like once upon a time I had every detail cataloged, and now I'm just very recently realizing, like there's a limit to what you can you can remember.
Something's got to get pushed out.
Yeah,
sometimes something will just like, come back in that
that's the thing, because there's always enough there to make you go, I think that's right. What were the details? And So what's brought the house shows back to Canberra?
Young people.
Yeah, right.
Young people.
I mean, I guess that's
it.
Australian hardcore in general.
Yeah. And I mean, I think young people, but also needing a place to do all ages shows, I guess.
Yeah. That's the other part of it. Yeah.
Without here's good that Phoenix is like back again doing stuff. And there's also a lot of other places that are just doing shows now too. But there was a window of time where the only option was a house show.
Yeah.
And particularly because, at least at the time in Canberra, many, many years ago, and it's probably the same thing again now, unfortunately, places that are designed to be youth centres then are owned by a business and then are like, it's $1,500 for security. And it's like, what kid has $1,500? Like,
it's interesting because I've never been the show booker in the band, and I've never booked. People who book shows are like very special kind of special breed.
Literally me.
Yeah.
Admin people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's never been me. But thinking like all ages shows are back in Australia, and so like the topic has come up. It's like, that's sick. And why did they go away? And like, how are they different now? And all the variables, like all the things you basically just took for granted when you were 18, 19. It's like, cool, all age show. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Like you said, now we're looking at, actually all ages shows are really hard to book because you need to have a certain amount of
there's a lot of red tape around it to keep children safe.
Yeah, exactly. And the children have to be there to come to the show. Otherwise, people are just going to book a show at a pub. At a pub. And it's like, it is like basically it's swinging back around, and like very thankful and like very like not that you weren't thankful back in the day, but you definitely took it more for granted. It's like
you're in the bubble of it happening.
Absolutely.
And then I think it's hard to put yourself outside of that and go, we better enjoy this while it lasts. Like,
for sure.
But I think also just there's a right amount of kids at the right age. Like, Frankston seems to be another example of that. Like there's a good, not that there's not crews of kids around in other spots, but it just seems like there's a volume of kids around down that way to make it sort of happen, and enough kind of other people around to foster it too.
No, 100%. Frankston's got its own thing going on, which it's like you said, it always has. Like always, the Peninsula's always produced like a lot of like awesome bands. But like you said, it takes like you got Stu down there who's doing the Singing Bird Studios, and you've got to have that space where people feel like it's their spot. They invite their friends. Their friends invite friends who are like, I like hardcore, but I like metal, I like rock, whatever. I'll go. I think that's what grows the all ages scene.
I literally played there on Saturday, and there was, kids, but also just people were like, talking to Stu. He's like, we do doors really early, and it's not because we want the shows to be over early. It's because we need the kids to be able to get home. Yeah. So like the shows start early so that they can still catch a train. It's really cool. And then but the kids were there from doors. Yeah. Like doors opened, and the doors were open for a while before bands started playing, and everyone was just hanging out and having a great time. And there was kids there who like went and jammed and then came to the show. And I was like, man, they fucking love it down here.
No, it's an awesome spot. We played it for the first time with Speed a couple of months ago, and it really is, because I grew up, like you said, near Bayswater. Bayswater is that similar kind of residential / industrial old Melbourne area. So there was that element of it, which I loved and felt like, this is actually kind of sick. And just the way that they bring out all these couches and like places to just eat. People rock up with Maccas or and it's like, this is awesome. Yeah.
It's so sick.
It reminded me. It's like 10 years ago now, but when Iron Mind toured in the States and we played so many different areas, there was like areas like that which were very much like, community based, they're doing a barbecue in the car park, and it's like you see all this stuff that like, if you just play in Melbourne and you play the same spots, you sort of forget that venues can pop up anywhere and be amazing anywhere. And there's all this extra stuff that you can to create that community and create that inviting energy that is different from like everyone likes a nice venue, but it's there's a difference between, like you said, it's a business versus like a labor of love and a community, something that belongs to the community. And that's definitely what Frankston has down there with Singing Bird.
Yeah. When Extortion played in LA last year, I've been to a lot of shows there. I have lots of mates there. And the show got booked at a venue that I hadn't heard of. It's not a surprise, but generally speaking, when you see a tour go through a place, you sort of start to learn the names of places. And I've been to shows there before, and it was a place I hadn't heard of. And the guys that booked it were like, this is the like power violence spot. And I was like, okay, cool. That's perfect for this band. And they're like, you're going to love the venue. It's real hectic and like pretty crusty, but it's real fun. And it's called First Street Billiards. It's literally a pool hall. And they're like, check it out. When there's like a big outdoor area at the back, and they're like, once everything's like gets going, there'll be like a full on market out the back. And the show started, and out the back, like inside was like pool tables, bar, stage, merch, like a normal venue. Walk out the back door, and there's a taco stand, like a dude just making sick tacos. A like bunch of distros, record store sort of shit, and then a guy just straight up selling weed. Yeah, like he just had, and like it's legal there now. So this guy's just like, I'm just selling weed and magic mushies out the back of the show, and I was like, they got to figure that out over here. This is the kind of venue I want to be playing.
So if I'm hearing what you're saying, you're playing at Howler on Friday. Bring a trestle table.
Like I said, I don't book the shows. So,
I'll be selling weed.
I'll be in the car park at Howler selling things out of the boot of my friend's mate's car.
But yeah, so talk us through it. So new record has just come out. It came out on Friday last week, right?
That's it, yeah.
And then immediately up to Brisbane to gig.
That's right. And that was a happy accident. I was saying to the boys on the weekend, we've gotten like really lucky with how like dates, things falling into place. Like normally everything works. That does not happen. Everything works outside of your favor, but we got really lucky. Keldon from Burning Hammer Records asked us to play it was the Burning Hammer Showcase. That's what we went up for. Side note, really quickly on the all ages thing, what kept coming up is, so there was an overage show at the Crowbar in Brisbane and then an all ages show at the Sandgate Town Hall, which is like North Brisbane.
Yeah.
Sandgate Town Hall looked exactly like St. Ambrose Hall.
Yeah.
For people from Melbourne, if you're familiar. And everyone was spinning out because it was like, oh my God, like there has not been a show, like, and for everyone else, like St. Ambrose Hall in Brunswick looked very similar to the famous Stonecutters venue. These big halls, right, which used to, played host to so many awesome all ages shows. Hasn't happened in 10, 15 years. And Keldon found this spot and everyone was just basically reflecting on like, damn, this is like so sick. And the show was amazing. So many like young kids, young bands. I'll chat a bit more about that a bit later maybe. But yeah, the way Keldon asked us to come up ahead of like the record release date being locked in, and there was a lot of sort of back and forth like with mastering and all that. And so like we hadn't released a record in 10 years, so we were very much out of the loop in terms of how it all works with Spotify now and all that. So long story short, Ricky at Flatspot was like, listen, it probably has to be on June 13th. And we're like, oh well, we're the first day of tour is that day, and at first we're like, is that a problem? And then we're like, no, actually that's kind of sick.
It's awesome.
So that's how it worked out. The record came out in the morning, and we're on the plane to Brisbane, and so no, it was really good, and debuted some of the songs at Crowbar that night, and man, it was awesome.
Does it feel like, you guys have been spending a long time putting this together and crafting it and kind of waiting for the perfect time, and I think that shows in how it's come out. Like all of it looks so slick. It sounds incredible. How does it feel to actually have it out there?
Oh, mate, it's incredible to have it out. Like I won't say like a weight off the shoulders, but like you said, we put a lot of work into. It's interesting actually to reflect on it all, because it was like we didn't start and say, you know what, we're gonna put all this work into it. We're gonna, but it just sort of went from one thing to the next, and we're like, you know what, like let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. And a lot of it, especially with like, the videos and like the stuff for social media, we had no idea what's involved these days. And we just, when we were sort of told or what was suggested what we could do, we just every time we're like, oh, why not? Let's do it properly, because we haven't put out a record in 10 years. Who knows if or when we'll be able to do something like this again. So let's do it properly and do it how we want. And so, a lot of different elements to come together, and it has come together really well. So it's
I think probably like considered seems like the word that keeps coming back to me, like, because I'm trying not to fucking gush about this album, but
mate,
I've listened to it. I've listened to
it
so fucking much, like, and it just like, you've always got a couple of tracks where you're like, whatever. But this album is a fucking complete package, man. It is like a credit to you guys, because I think we've given a little bit of shit to bands coming back, and it doesn't seem like you guys are doing that at all. It's it sort of seems like, fuck, we're back after 10 years. It almost feels like 10 years worth of like, fuck, like here it is. Like,
nah, you nail on the head. So I appreciate you saying that you noticed that we weren't just like, look, shows are happening again. Let's put some shit together. Nah, because the way it happened was, like, Iron Mind we never like broke up or stopped playing or said, no more. What happened was we just got more. We were at like 10 years ago, we were going hammer and tongs at it, and just sort of we came to the end of that being able to give that much time and energy to it, like, you know, you guys know, it's like writing and like touring as much as you can, like it has to be everyone's priority. And all it simply was in like 2015, 16 is, you know, there were other priorities in our lives. So we just kept playing, and like writing sort of fell back a little bit. And when I say we kept playing, it's like we just play locally, just play in Melbourne. But yeah, 100% right. In that time, it's like all of us, I think, got like we'd get ideas for songs, and we just sort of store them, you know, store them in the back, and like without any, you know, there was never a plan of like, you know what, we're gonna save them for the future. But what happened was, I think it was around the time of COVID. You know, a couple of the members were like, you know, not enjoying isolation like a lot of people, and it just sort of came up. It's like, oh well, we could kick some ideas back and forth as just like a bit of a project, just to see what happens, you know. And the important thing was, it was like, yeah, and it doesn't have to be anything. We don't have to release anything. Yeah, you know, we can just, which we'd never done before. In the past, it was always, we're gonna make this record and it's going to be out by this time, and we're going to hit the road and we're going to play with these bands, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And it was all sort of like planned out like that. Whereas this, like the start of this, of getting back to writing was like, you know, let's just write for ourselves, see what happens. If we like it, great. If not, who cares? But the point is, like, let's write together and just enjoy it for ourselves. And it just sort of started there, and it just sort of, that was, well, I mean, that was like 2019, 2020, you know, it's 2025 now. So it was like, it wasn't like this, it sort of grew over time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like when you say it's all considered, it's sort of, you can kind of break it up into like the songs, right? And then like the art and the videos and like what we can do with it, all that sort of stuff. It's sort of, it sort of grew, it built. It wasn't like a clear plan from the start. It was just kind of like step after step after step.
It just makes sense. Like, and I think like hearing a song like More Pain, it's like, that's a song I think you guys at this age could write. Like that coming from a band 10 years ago, it's like, yeah, what pain have you really been through? Like that intro into that song, like that it's going to go like.
Yeah, was that, yeah, talk us through that. Like what was the thought for that?
Because that makes a fucking impact.
Yeah. Okay. So like, and this is touching on your previous question as well about like it being considered. It's like, yeah, we when I say, oh, there was no rules or conditions, we just were going to write for fun. When we finally got to that point where we're like, you know what? These songs are pretty fucking sick. Let's put something out, you know. But if we're gonna put something out, it's gonna be our best shit ever. Like that is the only rule. We're definitely not half-assing anything, right? But we don't know. Like we haven't written a record yet. So so it's a lot of like, will we, won't we? Let's see. How's everyone feeling? Like a lot of like no pressure, but like let's, you know, because what was really important, I'm going to say I don't speak for every member of the band, but I reckon this is probably accurate. Like it was important that we got to genuinely enjoy the writing process, which we haven't always done, you know? And so we're going to chill, we're going to hang out, we're going to write. And if like some stuff happens, great. If not, it's not a wasted night because we're just like, we're just kicking it and having fun, which in the past, that wasn't how we always operated. So yeah, but that was definitely always sort of lingering. It's like, it's got to be our best shit ever, right? And another thing that we spoke about was like, we don't want to, you know, what we want to do is write like the best Iron Mind record. And so Iron Mind is a band that's existed already for 15 years. We're a band that people know and people love this band. So we're not going to take it and try and do something, push it in a weird direction or, you know. So you got two things there. It's like, it's got to be like an Iron Mind record, but it's got to be the best Iron Mind record. So how do you do that without like pushing it too far or being too weird? So that was the challenge. And More Pain is a great example of that, in that it's like, this is like taking what people love about this is an example of a song that is definitely an Iron Mind song, but it's like, you know, time turbocharged. You know what I mean? And so we spent a lot of time going, you know, just considering that. It's like it's got to be like classic Iron Mind, but with like a contemporary sort of feeling, and bringing all those, like I said, everyone in the band has gotten like way better at songwriting, just way better at like everyone in the band has gotten a better understanding of what makes hardcore and what makes what's a good song, what's a bad song, and so we were just kind of bringing all that. 10 years of that to like 10 years of like, damn, you know what? If we made another record, we could do, you know, Trapped Under Ice did this, like on their last record, they did this. That was so sick, you know, we could do something like that, you know, like 10 years of that and you get More Pain, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The intro, like Into More Pain was just, I mean, everyone in the band loves like a great sample intro and basically, like, what I wanted was, I mean, it went through a few iterations, but one way I considered it was, what I want is for it to sound like, I don't want to take a sample from a movie and have it sort of half make sense for the record. Yeah. I want to like essentially like write the dialogue. Oh, yeah. But I want people to be like, is that from a movie or is that Sam? You know, and we ticked that box because a couple people on the weekend like came up to Josh at the merch table and like, is that Sam or so
well, you have a little bit of a tinge on an accent there. You kind of but it sounds fucking awesome
because if you transitioning from talking voice to hardcore voice, it's like you lose your Australian accent.
Absolutely.
So everyone, all Australian vocalists know that.
Yes.
And so that was the dance I had to play. But I had a mate who mate from high school who texted me, he listened to it, he goes, mate, it sounds like Mad Max. I was like, yeah. I was like, yes, that's what I was going for.
That's what it sounds like to me too. Yeah. I mean, I had this thing where, because I use Star Trek samples in the Aglo songs. Yeah. I've gotten to the point where like on the first thing, I would just, lift something from a movie that was like loosely what I was writing the song about. And now I've gotten to the point where I'm like expert status sample because I just cut lines and put noise over it and just make my own dialogue. And I'm like, that's because I'm basically trying to do what you're saying is like, I can't have this thing that doesn't really make sense, but I need 5 things that do make sense.
Well, I like I could that could have been a direction we went because it's we're both hitting on the same issue. It's like we've all heard like an awesome sample that's slightly spoiled because it's got half a line. It comes in halfway through something else,
or you can hear background noise or some shit.
Yeah, and it's like if you know what movie it's from, it distracts you because you know what that sound. Anyway, all of that I didn't want that in there because. A big influence on the band is Bitter End and the record Climate of Fear. And that, to me, that intro, the Panic intro is all time. So I got to put that up front. It's like, that was big. Like, you know, Iron Mind, we wear our influences on our sleeve, you know, and it's like, we wanted to take everything that we love about hardcore, everything that is, that like what is the best Iron Mind record we can make, and it has to have a great intro like that. You know, like Hell Split Wide Open has an interesting intro, but it's not like an intro that necessarily gets you fired up.
Sure.
So it's like, but that Bitter End intro that gets you fired up. So it's like, all right, let's do something like that. And the themes that all sort of came afterwards, you know, like considering samples, considering this, what do we need? The actual dialogue of the intro went through quite a few rewrites to get it the right time, get it to sort of ramp up at the right way, certainly have it be genuine. There was a few lines I took out because it's like, that's a little bit too whiny. That's a little bit too aggressive, like faux aggressive. You know, let's make sure this is you know what's actually on my heart, and and it's it's good to have that out because obviously we had the singles out. I knew that the intro was there, and we definitely were like, I think this is going to be a great way to start the record.
Yeah, it's so sick.
To hear that people are responding to it is it's a good feeling.
Well, I think hearing the singles and how great they sounded, it was a nice start to the album where it's like, not just yet, like it's just there, and it makes it all better.
Yeah.
Like I think it's such a good move to have done it yourself, and just the way the album sounds as well, like the recording sounds unreal. Like,
thank you, and agreed. I have nothing to like. So I'm the lyrics, visual art, conceptual stuff, a little bit of song arrangement, any like audio engineering. Like I said, I still need Akira to like set up my mics at practice. Like I don't know anything, but it does sound amazing, and that's because the guys all knew what they wanted. Working with Sam Johnson of Holes and Corners at the Black Lodge here in Melbourne, and then Taylor Young mixing it, Nick Townsend of Audio Sonic mastering it, and of course Otis. Otis was producer on the record, and so everyone certainly played their part, but everyone is very happy with how it sounds. It's so funny. We worked with Taylor on the two songs that we released, the tape in 2003, and so he mastered those songs. We recorded those songs with Sam as well, and Sam is a legend. It was like a really great, just enjoyable experience just recording with Sam at the Black Lodge. But then we'd worked with Sam before. So the funny thing is, it's like Sam had recorded Hell Split Wide Open in 2012 at the same spot. So it was kind of a trip to be back there. But we'd never worked with Taylor before. And the mixing job he did on those two songs was like, we were so blown away. I'd never heard all previous recordings I'd ever done. I basically, because I just don't have an ear for audio stuff at all, I couldn't hear the difference between the unmixed tracks and mixed tracks. Like I get a mix back and I'd be like, sounds the same.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like the guys could hear what was going on. I couldn't. But with Taylor, it was the first time where I'd gotten a mix back and my vocals sounded better. Yeah. And I was like, oh my, damn, that's awesome. Awesome. So sick. So basically, and obviously he killed everything else. And a lot of that is because Neil was the one on the email with him back and forth with all the notes, and Neil's very good at putting all those sorts of notes, in an email and communicating those.
You need someone who can do that, because last time I did something, I was like, can it be less in the front? Which doesn't make sense.
You need that language.
You need that language.
Honestly, I need 4 people to the rest of the band, they are funny conversations, because I'm just like, I don't like this. And everyone else will decipher what I'm trying to say. But Taylor was really, really great to work with, and has done an incredible job. And Otis was there for all the recordings and sort of making suggestions on hardware and all that sort of thing.
He was even doing stuff with you when you were like even kind of pre-production stuff with you too,
absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. That was the main thing we got him in for.
Yeah.
So that was another thing that we'd never done before, but definitely wanted to do, was we want to work with a producer. It's one of those things where 10 years ago, we didn't even know that hardcore bands did that, and we heard that, Trapped Under Ice, Big Kiss Goodnight, a record that the whole band loves. We heard that they worked with, I think Chad from Newfound Glory.
Yeah.
They worked with him as a producer. I've heard Justice speak about it on podcasts and that sort of thing. And it's you can do that? So he said, for this record, we want to do that. We originally got the idea because after touring with No Warning, we know that Ben Cook from No Warning does that a lot for a lot of different bands. And so that's where the first sort of seed was planted. We were like, well, maybe we could ask Ben, you know, he travels a lot. Maybe it'll work out that we could just get a couple of days with him and pick his brain, show him a song or two. And that might be the extent of it. That didn't work out just because he was literally like on the other side of the world. But then Akira suggested like, hey, Otis is actually pretty good at this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Why not just ask him? He might not want to do it because he's like, you know, doing so many different bands and so many different things, but I'll ask. He was into it, and like he played a huge role in just coming in. Like we had like 20 songs, you know, at various, like most of them more or less complete, but then others more solid than others. And he came in at that stage and like basically helped us sort out, you know, which ones we should push forward and all that sort of thing. Which the big thing for us was like, because 5 people, all creative people. Ironmine's very democratic. Like everyone is coming up with ideas. I don't play the guitar, so everyone is playing slightly different roles, but everyone is bringing creative roles in there, and we're all quite like aware of each other's like your
job or my job.
No.
Strengths and weaknesses.
No. Like don't, you know, trash this idea.
Sure.
Okay. Everyone's like very respectful of each other.
Yeah.
So what was great about having like an impartial extra person is just that extra set of ears and eyes.
Yeah.
Someone who is just so objective and isn't necessarily worried. I mean, not that Otis was some sort of prick that was like, you know, but it was just cutting through and saying, this bit isn't working because of this reason and this reason. Here's a couple of solutions. I think you should go this way.
Yeah.
You know, and everyone loves Otis. We all really respect his opinion.
Yeah.
It just produced such great results because things that we just didn't see or hear from, because we've all got our own sort of habits and grooves that we've all fallen into from writing for so long. It really made the difference. Yeah.
I guess because sometimes you're so close to things.
Yeah. Yep.
And I had the same experience with comedy stuff where I just thought when I started, I was like, every comedian just writes all their jokes and they don't get help and they don't write with other comedians and they don't have these external people. And it's really just you go that, well, I want to be the creative person and I come up with heaps of ideas, and sometimes you need someone to sit outside of that and go like, oh, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And, you know, I was writing with a friend of mine, Bron, and she was working with a director for a comedy festival show and I wasn't. And it was very clear to see the impact because the director was able to sort of take that step back. And you can do that for yourself within reason, but you're so close to things. It sort of ties in with that consideredness of, well, like going like, we might need someone who can help us with this.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't we need help. It was like we know that the record, we basically were self-aware. It's like the record will be better if we get someone to point out the things that we're missing, you know?
Yeah.
And like, you're 100% right. It's like we do things the way that we do them, and then someone like Otis or this, you know, in your case, this director you're pointing out is like, yeah, but have you considered how this will, when you play it live, is it going to work that way, or is it, it won't? Or like Otis has been in different bands and he's, you know, he's got different experiences, and also, it's not his band, so he's not like, he's not bringing all that baggage with him.
Bias.
He's just like, it's objective. I wish I could sort of be more articulate, but like the part of the reason like Otis was so good at it is that he was just incredibly like direct without being didn't have a horse in the race, a dog in the fight sort of thing, you know. And it is like, listen, and part of his process is like I said, Neil would have like a folder full of almost complete songs, and he'd give those to Otis, and Otis would take them away and sort of play around with it in his own time, not like live there, in the practice space. He would take him home and he'd think about it and come back. He goes, I think, if you change the ending of this song this way, it will be better. This song over here that you guys have in the folder, I don't think it's going to be as strong as these other ones. And like for some of those songs, that's all we needed to hear. Because like I said, being so close to him, is this a good song? We just needed someone to say, not as good as these other ones. And that's how I think that's part of the reason how we ended up with like 10 killer songs.
Because I think it's just thinking about other ways that bands can work, and everything else in hardcore and punk music is a community effort. And not that everything has to be, but I think I've been in I've not been in tons of bands, but I've been in a band where there was like one songwriter who, and then everyone else just learnt the songs.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about Aglo here, but sometimes, when you either need someone who has a very clear vision, or you can go like, this is just another way that this can work.
But even for like doing the stuff that I've been doing, I've like every recording I've done with a person. Like I did the first 2 things with Fuller. I did one with Taylor in America. I've done the other things with Lewis here, and it's been like, and every time, like even Lewis is a great example. And I mean, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but like the last thing that we did, I sent him the 2 songs, like the demos, so that he could build the maps so that we could start recording it. And he was like, do you mind if I give you some feedback? And I mean, at this point, he's played shows with me and shit. And I'm like, no, tell me, what do you want? And he's like, this riff is like kind of just not as good a version of a riff that you've written before. And I was like, played it back to myself, and he told me the riff he was talking about. And I was like, you're right, that's fair. And then I rewrote it, and then he was like, now that's like the best riff. And now I'm like, yes, that nudge gave me like, now I got to go write a way better fucking riff. Like,
well, that with this Iron Man record, that happened like 10 times. There's 10 songs. There's like 10 instances where, it was a simple suggestion. Like of a song that we already thought was, well, we already knew was a great Iron Man song. And Otis saw something or a little bit, or there was something that we couldn't come to a consensus on, and Otis basically just weighed in and was like, I think it should be outcome X for this reason, and here's why. And every time it just made sort of perfect sense.
It's almost like expediting the process of like doing a million releases and getting better.
That's a very good way to put it.
It's almost like I think for me it actually helped me, for comedy stuff, write more and talk to people I knew, and because you realize that everyone does it, or like and particularly people at a high level, that are like who are creating really amazing stuff.
It's probably I could see like it is actually an interesting subject, because it's probably like not something that 4 18-year-olds doing their first band need to do, right?
No,
right? And so it's probably something that and also probably something that's not going to work if the band's full of people with like crazy egos or insecurities. And so Iron Mind has sort of come to this point where we've all got a bit more, and this is why we're all enjoying it so much at the moment, is because we're all much more mature. We all respect each other a lot more. I mean, we always respected each other, but it's like we appreciate each other more. It's like we're, I'm 41. It's like these are my brothers. Like this is, I'm so lucky to get to do this. I'm so lucky to get to write with these guys again. I'm so appreciative of what they bring to the table. If you don't have that maturity, working in that way is probably going to be difficult, because if you're sensitive, if you're insecure, if you're too worried about who's getting what credit or whose ideas getting used, I can see it being, and it's probably very like band and producer dependent as well. The wrong the wrong person probably wouldn't have worked with us. But it's the fact that like Otis is he's our friend. He knows the band. He's a legend. He is very talented at it. I think that he's I don't think it's something that like everyone could do. It's like it's a certain sort of stack of skills.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's one of those things like it truly is. It's got to be part of your personality too.
Yeah.
Because I think for me, like I definitely couldn't do it. I mean, because I think I would just get too invested in the part that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Whereas I thrive on the feedback from it. I think because when I have had it, it's been very helpful for me.
Yeah, yeah. I think the history of Iron Mind is I am a control freak at times, but not in like a crazy way. I just get like obsessive. And so when it's come to like writing vocals, I think the guys have kind of just like left me. Like it's like he's doing it, you know. But I love feedback. Like I crave feedback on my vocals because I've never been in another band. I don't play an instrument. I don't know really what I'm doing. I just sort of know what I like but both Akira and Otis had like the most to say about the vocals that I was writing
and the lyrics and like the way it sounded, or
so not the lyrical content, the like
way you're delivering it,
the patterns, which is I hadn't experienced that in Iron Mind before. Like Neil, like the band would all give feedback on like, I think this kind of vocal could work here. Sam, what do you like? Go like take that into consideration when you're writing the vocals, or like what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Whereas like I would come back with vocals for these songs, and Akira and Otis would be like, nah, the flow, it's not flowing right here, or it's not flowing right there, or like down to no, it needs to be like ba da da ba da ba, you've got it ba da ba da, like and I would like eat it up. I'd be like, oh yeah, like in a lot of cases I'd be like, wait, why? Why is it? Or like I wouldn't understand initially what they were saying, and they'd show me an example, or like they'd sing it themselves. And also that enthusiasm, like there wasn't like they were saying, oh, I think change it maybe. I don't know, whatever. Like that enthusiasm that they had for it was like that also made it like very enjoyable and very like gratifying to like we're really working on something here. But great, very great experience.
That's so sick. We're getting to kind of the penultimate point of chatting to you here. We're going to put this podcast out this week, Ben and I have decided, because this Friday doing the big show here in Melbourne, and Saturday as well.
Definitely.
But pretty stacked lineups for the two shows, very different from one another. Excited about playing them in Melbourne after having done it elsewhere. This is the hometown thing now.
Absolutely. So we're playing record release shows at Howler on this Friday, the 20th of June, with Seven Hells, newish band, Melbourne band, awesome band. We played with them in Ballarat with Speed, really cool band. Our brothers in Disdain, super psyched to have them on. Horsepower, Melbourne boys who are doing like a lot of the
crazy shit.
Really, awesome band. New, unique, doing their own thing.
Swag.
I mean, swag for days.
Kid drip.
Yeah.
Those kids are dripped.
Yeah. But just like that energy and Horsepower, very apt name.
Well, it's been cool to see at the last few shows, the reaction to Do It has been sick.
Yeah.
And I was like, I haven't seen something like that in a while.
It's crazy.
Well, just that specific. It's really cool.
So they're actually doing a bunch of
they're going to Perth with you too, right?
Yeah, doing a bunch of the shows, which is great. But great to be able to have them on the Howler show specifically.
Yeah.
And then Ill Natured from Newcastle are back for first time in Melbourne in a long time, I think. So that's going to be great at Howler. And then Saturday, the following day, the 21st, we're playing at Phoenix Youth Centre again. It's our first time headlining Phoenix in like 10 years or something like
crazy.
that. We're fortunate enough to play there with Speed recently, which was great to be back there. That is with Implode, the young guys, and then Heat, who I'm really psyched to play with. Gravitate, 8 Count from
Franger,
from Franger, who we also played with recently with Speed. So good to get a great mix going.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's gonna be really, really good. We're definitely looking forward to it, especially after playing these shows in Brisbane at the Burning Hammer Fest. Those shows were both great, but really looking forward to coming home and playing in Melbourne.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah.
And then other shows across the country for the next sort of week as well, yeah?
Yeah, so basically splitting it up into weekends just because of work and life and that sort of thing. So following that will be Sydney on the 26th of June, it's the Thursday, at the Lansdowne Hotel. And then the following night, Friday, in Newcastle at the Last Ride Showcase, So we're headlining the Friday with you're gonna
too many bands.
You're gonna get me on
just
the lineup.
check out the poster, guys.
Yeah, check out the poster. But I know Feel the Pain are opening,
Fuck
and I'm super psyched for that because they're an awesome band, awesome new band, and that's like one of the things that is like so great about being back. And being able to play more shows, have a new record, is there's just so many sick young bands.
It's so sick.
Like it's genuinely like awesome. Week after that is Adelaide and Perth. Adelaide, we're playing at Jive Bar for the first time ever. We've never played there. So really
good venue. I went there.
Yeah.
Harm's Way recently. It was sick.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there as a punter a couple of times, but never played there. I think the Crown and Anchor's being renovated or something like that. Yeah, because I think that was our first choice because Adelaide has a bunch of good venues, but that is with Time Ends, who I'm excited to see. It's funny. At the Brisbane, the All Ages show, there was a band from Adelaide called Desire. Yeah. Right? Sick band.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I was chatting to a couple of the guys and I said, you guys are great. Adelaide, yeah? Yeah, we're playing Adelaide a couple of weeks. Really looking forward to seeing this band, Time Ends. I've been listening to their demo and like all of them are in Time Ends. Yeah, so I looked like a dickhead. But we're also in Adelaide playing with Culture Shock, who are
sick. They're fucking awesome.
Yeah, really, really, really good. And Horsepower are coming with us. Actually, I could have that wrong. Is it the Chain? Check the flyer. Yeah,
check the flyer, guys. I never expected you to know every band, but off the top of your head.
Sorry, that'll be Horsepower because the following night we're flying to Perth.
Yeah,
and playing Perth with the Chain. Yeah. So sick to be able to play a bunch of shows with the Chain. And with Horsepower.
That's fucking awesome.
And then the following weekend we're gonna go to New Zealand. Yeah. So honestly, feeling super blessed. We've been to New Zealand a couple of times back in the day. So it was just one of those things. It was like, another week we got another weekend free. Like people had time off work and that sort of thing. Is there somewhere else we want to go, or what does everyone think? And it just sort of popped up. Actually, Horsepower had just been there.
Yeah.
And we were talking to them, and they said, "Oh, it was great," And we're like, "Well, why don't we just like give let's just like make some inquiries." And it was like, it all just felt like I said earlier, we got really lucky with a lot of the dates with all of this. And it's all just fallen into place. So really, really lucky, really looking forward to playing. We got an all ages show in Wellington at it's Wellington Youth Centre down there. Sorry, I apologize. I forget the name of the venue. And then in Auckland the next day, an overage show at Neck of the Woods.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah. It's going to be great. And we're, like I said a couple of times, we're just super pumped to be able to play again.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Ben, you got anything to promote now that Sam's talked about every show in Australia and New Zealand?
29th of June, come and see my mate Bron Cuss and I do a trial show at Near and Far. we're getting ready for our comedy festival shows for next year, and we'll do some stuff that we haven't had any feedback on. So you can come and check that out. It's super cheap, but it'll be fun. Half an hour each from the two of us.
Nice.
Get in.
I've just got the standard shows I've been talking about every week. The Agla ones are done now, so don't have to hear about them anymore. Cold Day in Brisbane. Ben and I will both be there.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there
Awesome.
on the Thursday, July 24th. I'll be doing my solo show, punk music.
I Exist playing at the Tote in August.
Hell yeah.
And Extortion doing Iron Long shows. Come to them.
Hell yeah.
And also, I'll just say it because we're going to book it, but we're going to do another live pod at Christmas. Not at Christmas, but end of year
Christmas
knockoffs.
Day.
Christmas Day, yeah. Fuck your family. Come to the pub. No, we'll do an end of
Early
the year.
December.
Early December, yeah. Earlier than last year, I think. Yeah. But anyway, Sam, thanks so much for coming and talking to us, dude.
No, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, boys.
Cheers.
Bye.